Time is running out for Iran. The US has moved its B-2 bombers and its aircraft carriers to striking distance of Iran. This comes on the back of President Donald Trump writing a letter to the supreme leader in Iran, asking him or ordering him to come to the negotiating table and come to some sort of agreement, which Trump has been very open with. If this agreement is not achieved, then this could lead to military action. Now let's remember, Trump came into office talking about reducing America's wars, bringing American troops back, and not getting involved in any wider wars. In fact, he's even been talking about shrinking America's footprint around the world. Trump said, "We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into." In the last 18 months, Iran's watched as Hezbollah's been decimated, Iran's watched as the Houthis are constantly bombed, and Iran was forced to look on when the Bashar al-Assad regime in Syria was overthrown. Iran's on the retreat. So this begs the question, why would anybody want war with Iran now when Iran's on the retreat? And there's only one answer to this, and that's Israel. Israel is the only one in the region that wants war, and Israel has been pretty consistent with this position. Israel has seen Hezbollah as a problem. It's seen Hamas as a problem. It sees the Houthis as a problem, and the term they use is Iran is the head of the octopus, and that needs to be cut. And it would seem that Israel has won America to a large degree over to this viewpoint. So the narrative we hear is that Iran is a malign actor in the Middle East. It wants its own empire. Therefore, it's a threat to Saudi Arabia. It's a threat to the Gulf nations, and it's a threat to Israel. Also, Iran is constantly accused of being a state sponsor of terrorism. This is the narrative we hear. However, the narrative we don't hear is in the last 2 decades, America and Iran have actually worked together on a number of issues. When America invaded Iraq and it got bogged down in an insurgency, it turned to Iran in order to get out of this. And in fact, it handed Iraq over to Iran. Most of the key groups in the regime are Iranian-backed groups. America, therefore, had no problem working with Iran in Iraq. In Afghanistan, America has been very open that the north of Afghanistan, which is where the Shia populated, is Iran that has been managing this area, is Iran that's been ensuring there's no insurgency. And in fact, the reason why America wasn't kicked out for 20 years from Afghanistan was because Iran stabilized the north of the country. So as a result, Iran expanded into Afghanistan. It expanded into Iraq. It expanded into Lebanon. It expanded into Syria. And this worried the countries in the region. It worried Israel. It worried Turkey. And it worried Egypt. However, we've seen Iran previously, and America, they can come to agreements. They came to a nuclear accord in 2015, where Iran made major concessions, and these concessions included Iran effectively giving up or stalling its nuclear program and allowing Western institutes to come in and inspect at a moment's notice any nuclear site. But this agreement was ripped up in 2016 when Donald Trump came to power because Israel convinced him that this wasn't good for America and it wasn't good for Israel as well. So we've seen throughout recent history, Iran is prepared to negotiate over its nuclear program. So why can't Iran and the US make a new deal now? And the problem here is Iran's nuclear program is a freeway marriage. You have America and Iran who can work together when needed, but then you have the mistress who wants the marriage to fail. And that's the underlying problem, and that's what you don't hear on the mainstream narratives. Israel has been arguing for years that Iran is just weeks or months away from developing a capable nuclear bomb. This is the complete opposite to what we hear from the NSA and the CIA in America. The CIA only recently said that Iran is not even pursuing a nuclear program. So what direction is this all going to go? How is it likely to end? Well, the US and Israel are making maximalist demands of Iran. What they want is a complete capitulation, where Iran effectively puts its nuclear program on the line, and America will get the international watchdog to constantly go in and monitor this. Really, the ball is now on the side of Iran. Do you capitulate or do you take a stand? Do you potentially test a nuclear device to show that you can't be pushed around? So as this is an ongoing situation, what should we be looking out for? Well, the Israelis are very clear. They want Iran's nuclear sites to be bombed, and they want Iran's missile sites and missile capability to be bombed. On the other hand, you see Donald Trump talking about negotiations and the actual terms from the American side. We still have to hear. Now, a lot of these demands, whether they're by Israel or America, it's going to be unlikely Iran will accept them, because they will set back Iran's program, and it will set back Iran's capability. So we really need to keep an eye on what these demands are, and whether the leaders of all these countries are positive towards them, or are they negative towards them. So is time running out for Iran? Will America and Israel strike Iran? Well, negotiations are taking place at the moment, and we have to keep an eye on where these actually go. But what is very clear, the only one country that actually wants strikes, and that is Israel. Whilst Iran and America are open to talks, although both of them are trying to get different things out of these talks. So this is something we're going to have to watch.